Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the UNSW Medicine Information Evening for Year 12 students. My name is Nicole, and I'm part of the Marketing and Digital Experience team here at UNSW. I work closely with students and families who are exploring study in medicine and health, and I'm delighted to be hosting you this evening. Tonight, we'll guide you through several key parts of the journey. We'll begin with a welcome and faculty overview from our Dean. We'll then take you through a detailed overview of the medicine program itself. After that, we'll cover admissions and entry pathways, which I know is top of mind for many of you. We'll also hear from our MedSoc president about the student experience so you can get a sense of what life is like in the program. And finally, we'll finish with a live Q&A session. We hope that by the end of tonight, you'll have a clear understanding of what makes UNSW Medicine distinctive and whether it's right for you. To formally open the evening, it's now my pleasure to hand over to the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health, Professor Cheryl Jones.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for the UNSW Medicine Information Evening. My name is Professor Cheryl Jones. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health here at UNSW Sydney and a Professor of Paediatric Infectious Diseases. Tonight's session is focused on providing information for our domestic applicants to our medicine program. If you're an international student, we encourage you to attend our dedicated international information session where we can better address your pathways and questions. Much of what we'll share this evening is most relevant for those who are planning to apply this year to commence studies next year. If you're earlier in your high school journey or planning to apply in a future year, we're still very pleased to have you with us, but please keep in mind that entry requirements and processes can change over time, and we recommend attending future information sessions closer to when you intend to apply. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge country. I respectfully acknowledge the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which I'm speaking here today on UNSW's Kensington campus, but I pay my respects to elders past, present, and extend that respect to all First Nations people joining us this evening and to acknowledge all the lands on which UNSW campuses reside. At UNSW Medicine and Health, we are committed to advancing health, education, and research in ways that recognise and respect and learn from the world's oldest continuing cultures, our First Nations peoples. UNSW is a university with a strong global reputation, but what truly defines us is how we use that reputation to make a difference. We're consistently ranked amongst the world's leading universities, and our graduates are recognised as some of the most employable in Australia and internationally. At UNSW, excellence is not the end goal, progress is. Our Progress for All strategy reflects our belief that education and research should create positive change for individuals, communities, and society as a whole. From day one, our students are encouraged to think beyond what they know and to ask better questions and to apply their learning in ways that has real-world impact. Our teaching is shaped by leaders in their fields and grounded in practical experience, innovation, and collaboration across disciplines. UNSW Sydney is also Australia's most entrepreneurial university, with more startup founders having studied here than anywhere else in Australia, a reflection of our culture of initiative, problem-solving and leadership. Guided by our motto, Scientia Corde, Manu et Mente, knowledge by heart, hand and mind, we prepare graduates who are not only highly capable, but also ethical, compassionate and ready to lead progress for all. UNSW Medicine and Health is recognised as one of the world's leading faculties, consistently ranked amongst the top globally. Our strength lies in bringing together world-class education, cutting-edge research, and a deep commitment to improving health outcomes for all communities equitably. We focus on health challenges that matter most, including cancer, mental health, neuroscience, infectious diseases, addiction and chronic illness, translating research into meaningful societal impact. Our medicine program remains the most in demand in New South Wales across all programs and all universities, reflecting both its academic excellence and its strong reputation in the health sector. Central to our Progress for All approach is preparing future doctors who understand health in the broader social, cultural and global context. We have the Randwick Health and Innovation Precinct, a powerful example of this vision in action, a $1.5 billion collaboration bringing all of UNSW campuses and faculties together with 4 major hospitals and multiple medical research institutes to integrate education, research and clinical care. At the heart of the precinct is UNSW's new Health Translation Hub, a first-of-its-kind facility that connects learning directly with healthcare delivery and innovation, ensuring our students are trained in environments where research, education and patient care come together in a learning health system. This is where our students learn not just how to practice medicine, but how to shape the future of healthcare. Today's health challenges are complex, and addressing them requires a diverse, highly skilled health workforce, not just doctors. From the growing burden of chronic disease to an ageing population to emerging infectious diseases, improving health outcomes takes a multidisciplinary, team-based approach. While tonight is focused on our medicine program, I also want to highlight the breadth of other health degrees at UNSW where graduates play a critical role in advancing health and wellbeing. In the clinical health space, students can pursue careers as exercise physiologists, physiotherapists, joint programs, dietitians, pharmacists, and optometrists, to name a few. Beyond this, careers in medical sciences and vision science are essential to driving innovation, research, and evidence-based care. Our students are supported by world-class clinical schools of both metropolitan Sydney and regional New South Wales, including Wagga Wagga, Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour, Albury and Griffith, all offering state-of-the-art facilities for clinical education and biomedical sciences. These programs reflect our commitment to the university's Progress for All strategy, preparing graduates who can improve health outcomes across diverse communities and settings. I encourage you to explore these pathways as part of your broader thinking about studying with medicine and in health at UNSW Sydney. For those interested in learning more, we invite you to attend our upcoming UNSW Health Sciences and Optometry Information Evening on Wednesday, 22nd April. At UNSW Medicine and Health, our goal is to educate compassionate, capable and forward-thinking health professionals through transformative learning experiences. We aim to equip our graduates not only with clinical and scientific excellence, but with the insight and leadership needed to shape the future of healthcare in Australia and globally. Thank you for joining us online this evening. We hope this session has been informative and has helped you imagine what your future in health at UNSW could look like. I'll now hand back to Nicole, who will guide you through the next part of this evening's program.
Thank you, Professor Jones. It's now my pleasure to introduce Professor Adrian Torta, who is the Vice Dean and Head of the School of Clinical Medicine here at UNSW Medicine and Health. Adi is an academic leader, medical educator and scholar, as well as a practicing clinician with specialist qualifications in infectious disease. She brings deep experience in both clinical practice and medical education, and plays a central role in shaping the medicine program you'll hear about tonight. Adi will now take you through the structure of the program, including how it's delivered and what you can expect as a UNSW Medicine student. Over to you, Adi.
Hi, welcome to tonight's session. My name is Adrian and I am the Vice Dean and Head of the School of Clinical Medicine. I'm going to take you through an overview of the medicine program at UNSW. UNSW offers the Bachelor of Medical Studies, Doctor of Medicine, a 6-year undergraduate program designed to prepare students to become capable, compassionate, and effective doctors. The program is structured across 3 phases, each focused on developing your medical knowledge, clinical skills, and the professional attributes essential for medicine practice. Phase 1 focuses on the biomedical and social sciences that underpin medical practice. Learning is delivered through scenario-based learning, where clinical cases provide the context for understanding science, health, and disease. First-year medical students learn alongside second-year students, creating a strong culture of peer mentoring and collaboration that continues throughout the degree. Importantly, students are introduced to the clinical environment from the very beginning, spending time in hospitals from year 1 and developing confidence in communicating with patients and health professionals. Phase 2 consists of integrated clinical courses structured around weekly clinical cases. Students spend approximately 3 days per week in hospital settings, applying their learning directly to patient care. In the final year of Phase 2, students undertake research through either the Independent Learning Project or an honours year, building strong academic and inquiry skills. Phase 3 is made up of clinical clerkship years. Students are based in clinical schools, community health centres and general practices, rotating through major medical specialties such as general practice, emergency medicine, surgery and paediatrics. Many students also complete rural placements, and there are opportunities for optional overseas electives during this phase. In the redesigned structure, the first 3 years of the program will form Phase 1, with stronger integration of foundational science, clinical skills and professional practice. Phase 2 will place a greater emphasis on general practice placements and research, reflecting the central role of primary care and evidence-based medicine in modern health systems. When we talk about the redesign of the medicine program, what we're really talking about is how we prepare future doctors for the realities of modern healthcare. Healthcare today is more complex, more connected, and more technologically advanced than ever before. So in the redesigned program, learning is more intentionally integrated, bringing together clinical skills, scientific knowledge, professional practice, and the use of technology from the very beginning. Students will spend more time developing hands-on clinical skills through simulation and real-world learning, while also building strong cultural capability, particularly in working respectfully and effectively with First Peoples communities. There is a stronger emphasis on learning alongside other health professionals, reflecting the team-based nature of healthcare and a deeper understanding of how health systems function, from primary care through to hospitals and community settings. Professionalism, ethics and law are woven throughout the program, alongside a focus on advocacy, equity and population health, ensuring graduates understand not just how to treat individual patients, but how to improve health outcomes at a community and system level. And as medicine continues to evolve, students will also develop literacy in areas such as digital health technologies and clinical artificial intelligence, preparing them to practice safely and confidently in the healthcare environments of the future. While the way students learn is evolving, it's equally important to be clear about what is and isn't changing. The redesigned program has refreshed, future-focused learning outcomes and a contemporary curriculum that reflects how healthcare is actually delivered today. It touches on relatively new concepts like precision medicine and how things like climate affect the health of people and communities. There is a stronger emphasis on general practice placements, recognising the central role of primary care and the need to increase exposure to this during your training. There is also a clearer integration of research and clinical practice in the middle years of the program. Assessment has also been streamlined to better support learning and progression, often using assessment for learning as well as a measure of what has been learnt. What remains unchanged is just as important. Students will still graduate with the Bachelor of Medical Studies, Doctor of Medicine. The entry pathways and admission processes stay the same, and the overall duration of the program remains 6 years. In short, the redesign strengthens how students learn without changing what they graduate with, ensuring UNSW Medicine graduates continue to be highly regarded, future-ready doctors. A distinctive feature of UNSW Medicine is the Independent Learning Project, a year-long research experience undertaken during the program. Students work closely with research teams across UNSW's schools and institutes, developing critical research and analytical skills that are essential for lifelong learning in medicine. In Year 4, students also have the option to complete an honours project, contributing to original research that often leads to conference presentations and peer-reviewed publications. This research focus is a key reason UNSW is 1 year longer than other programs in New South Wales, and it provides graduates with a strong competitive advantage when applying to specialty training programs. Medicine is a lifelong journey, and our program is designed to prepare students for this continuum of learning. Learning just begins with the MD program and continues through internship, residency, specialty training, and ongoing professional development. Our goal is to graduate doctors who are adaptable, reflective, and equipped to practice safely in a rapidly evolving healthcare landscape. There are a number of clinical and non-clinical careers that a degree in medicine can take you. You will explore the various specialisations throughout your study via placements, clerkships, and electives. Some of these are listed here and include specialties such as general practice, internal medicine, surgery, and emergency medicine. You will also have exposure to non-clinical disciplines such as public health and research that could lead to careers in policy making or health management. At UNSW, medicine is offered as an undergraduate entry program, meaning students begin clinical learning from year 1 and progressively develop into integrated members of clinical teams over the 6 years. A major strength of studying medicine at UNSW is that learning takes place in environments where education, research, and clinical care are already working together. Teaching occurs across a large and diverse network of clinical sites, giving students exposure to a wide range of patients, settings, and models of care. Core teaching is based in the Wallace-Worth building within the Kensington Biomedical Precinct, where UNSW is co-located with the Prince of Wales Hospital, the Royal Hospital for Women, and Sydney Children's Hospital. This close integration means students are learning in real clinical environments from the very beginning. The precinct is further strengthened by the Health Translation Hub, which is now fully operational and plays a central role in how our students learn. The hub brings together cutting-edge research, teaching, and healthcare delivery, and includes state-of-the-art clinical skills and simulation learning spaces. These facilities allow students to build confidence, competence, and clinical judgment in a supported setting, alongside their hospital-based learning. Importantly, simulation learning is fully integrated throughout the program. Students use these spaces to refine communication, teamwork, and decision-making, often learning alongside students from other health disciplines, reflecting the collaborative nature of modern medicine. Beyond Kensington, UNSW Medicine students train across a broad hospital network that includes metropolitan sites such as St Vincent's, St George and Sutherland, southwestern Sydney, as well as our rural clinical campuses. Our rural campuses are located in Coffs Harbour and Port Macquarie on the north coast, and in Griffith, Wagga Wagga and Albury in southern New South Wales, offering rich learning experiences and insight into healthcare delivery in regional and rural communities. Collectively, this clinical network serves around 40% of Sydney's population, providing diverse and authentic clinical exposure across metropolitan, regional, and rural settings. Many campuses host open days throughout April and May, and I strongly encourage you to attend if you have the opportunity. Medicine offers a powerful opportunity to improve the health of individuals, communities, and societies into the future. We hope this overview has given you a clear sense of how the UNSW Medicine program supports that journey. I'll now hand you back to Nicole, who will take you through the next part of the evening.
Thank you, Adi, for that comprehensive overview of the medicine program. I know that for many of you, the next big question is, how do I get in? To guide you through medicine admissions and entry pathways, I'm very pleased to introduce Evelyn Overink. Evelyn will take you through the application process, selection criteria, and key pathways into UNSW Medicine, so you leave tonight with a clear understanding of what's required and how to prepare. Over to you, Evelyn.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us tonight in this session. My name is Evelyn Overink, and I'll go through everything you need to know regarding the admissions process, our entry schemes, and pathways to get into our medicine program. As mentioned earlier, this application process is for domestic applicants only. A domestic applicant is anyone who is an Australian or New Zealand citizen, an Australian permanent resident, or a permanent humanitarian visa holder. If you are an international applicant, I encourage you to join our upcoming international information session on 19th of March. There are 3 key steps to applying as a domestic applicant. Firstly, you will need to register for UCAT ANZ. You must also submit your application to UAC and preference UNSW Medicine as one of your preferences. The last step is the interview if you are selected. It is key to note offers to study medicine at UNSW are based on 3 selection criteria: your academic selection rank, your UCAT ANZ overall score, and the interview. The academic selection rank is your ATAR plus any eligible adjustment factors. For medicine at UNSW, only the Educational Access Scheme, EAS, is considered for recent high school leavers who have not undertaken any tertiary study. Median and lowest selection rank for those who received an offer in 2026 will give you an indication of the scores required for entry in 2027. We recommend you check our website for the most up-to-date selection ranks. For the 2026 intake, the median selection rank for domestic students applying through the General Entry Scheme was 99.95, with the lowest selection rank being 99.75. For students entering via the Rural Entry Admissions Pathway, the median selection rank was 98.05, with the lowest selection rank being 91.05. At UNSW, we do not have prerequisite subjects. However, we do have assumed knowledge. For the medicine program, the assumed knowledge is English Standard. This helps us ensure you can communicate and research effectively. We also recommend chemistry and biology. Now, let's talk about the University Clinical Aptitude Test for Australia and New Zealand, known as UCAT ANZ. The UCAT ANZ is a computer-based test done at Pearson VUE testing centres, and multiple sessions are available throughout July and early August across Australia and overseas. Your test score can be accessed within 24 hours of completing the test. Now, UNSW will receive your results directly from UCAT ANZ, so you won't need to email us your test results. There are no medical questions in the test. Since 2025, the abstract reasoning subtest was removed, leaving 3 unique subtests. Each test is individually timed and they are taken one right after the other. The UNSW does not consider the situational judgment mark. The maximum score anyone can achieve on the 3 subtests is 2700. Prior to 2025, the maximum score was higher, so please note that you can't compare your score to those published prior to 2025. We don't recommend third-party preparation courses. These can in fact be detrimental to your performance. Free practice questions and helpful resources are available on the official UCAT ANZ website. We recommend that you register for the UCAT ANZ before registration closes in May, even if you are unsure about medicine, which allows you to keep your options open. The last step of the selection process is the interview. All interviews for domestic applicants take place in person. The medicine interviews are intended to get to know you as a person. They are a structured interview with limited time, with 2 interviewers on the panel, usually 1 doctor and 1 community member. Coaching for the interview is not recommended and is in fact easily detected and may be detrimental to your performance. There are no trick questions. Just be honest if you want to do your best. Being invited for an interview is competitive. For the 2026 intake, 2,759 students applied through the General Entry Scheme and completed both the medicine application form and the UAC application, and we interviewed 374 of them. We also received 417 rural applications, and we interviewed 275 rural applicants. Interviews for 2027 are scheduled for the end of 2026 and early 2027. Specific interview dates will be available on our UNSW Medicine website. We recommend checking the website regularly for the most up-to-date information. Now, let's take a look at the application timeline. So UCAT registrations are already open and will close on the 15th of May. We recommend booking in your test as soon as possible so you don't miss the deadline. UAC applications open early April and won't close until late September. UCAT exams take place between July and August. Interviews are conducted from November to January. Lastly, we recommend everyone to attend our UNSW Open Day, which this year takes place on the 5th of September, where you have the opportunity to meet UNSW staff and students and learn about our degrees. Now, you may be wondering which campus you may study at. Student can commence the medicine program at the Kensington, the Wagga Wagga, or the Port Macquarie campus. The Port Macquarie and Wagga Wagga places will be allocated to applicants who applied through the Rural Entry Admissions Pathway, as well as Indigenous students who wish to study rurally. And all other applicants and a small group of rural applicants will be allocated to the Kensington campus. All Australian citizens or permanent resident visa holders are offered either a bonded or unbonded place to study medicine at UNSW. Applicants are automatically considered for both bonded and unbonded places. Unbonded places are offered to the top-ranking applicants until the allocation is exhausted, and bonded places are then offered until all places have been filled. Now next, we will go into our 4 special entry schemes: the Gateway, Indigenous and Lateral Entry Schemes, as well as the Rural Entry Admissions Pathway. The Gateway Entry Scheme is an alternative entry pathway for applicants meeting certain criteria. To be eligible for this entry scheme, you must be an Australian or New Zealand citizen or Australian permanent resident, be completing an Australian Year 12 qualification in the year of application, and either attend a gateway school or live in a low socioeconomic area. Applicants are required to apply through UAC. Those who submit under this scheme but do not meet the criteria will be informed and automatically changed to a standard general applicant. Now, applicants who have lived in a defined rural area may be considered under the Rural Entry Admission Pathway. Students need to have lived in a defined area for at least 5 consecutive or 10 cumulative years between the ages of 5 and 18. Those applying via the rural entry admissions pathway have lower entry criteria. Rural students are generally interviewed in person at the closest rural clinical campus to their home address. When rural applicants complete their application, they must indicate their campus preference by listing the 3 campuses in their preferred order. Allocation to campuses is made based on applicant preference and availability of places at each campus. Next is our Indigenous Entry Scheme. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students can apply to complete a 3-week residential program, the Pre-Medicine and Health Program, through Nurrugili, the UNSW Centre for Indigenous Programs. In the pre-program, your suitability and aptitude will be assessed for potential entry into the UNSW Medicine program. Successful students then continue on in the medicine program. As part of the process, students will need to provide high school marks and a personal statement. The UCAT ANZ is not required for this application. Now lastly, we have the lateral entry scheme, which is for students studying the UNSW Bachelor of Medical Science. Students in their second year of this degree can apply for medicine through the lateral entry scheme. Students are required to sit the UCAT ANZ in the same year they apply. Assessment for entry is based on the UCAT ANZ, the results of the core medical science courses, and the interview. Successful applicants are then required to complete their third year of the Bachelor of Medical Science, complete an honours year, and then go on to complete the 3 remaining years of the medicine program. There are up to 10 places available each year, so this pathway is extremely competitive. If applying through this entry scheme, you need to be prepared to pursue alternative career pathways if you are unsuccessful. Now that we have covered the entry schemes, let's talk about some of the alternative pathways you can take if you aren't successful getting an offer for this intake. If you have met the minimum ATAR cutoff, you can take a gap year and apply again the following year. You will need to resit the UCAT ANZ and attend an interview if selected. Or if you would like to improve your academic marks, you could start another degree and apply using those marks. For your university marks to be considered, you will need to have completed at least 0.75 full-time equivalent of study in the same program. And you must meet the minimum GPA requirement of 5.5 on a 7.0 scale if you apply via the general entry scheme, or a GPA of 4.8 if you apply via the rural entry admissions pathway. Now, it is important to note that while we consider your university results if you meet these conditions, your minimum ATAR or equivalent must also still meet our cutoff of 96 or 91 for rural applicants. Only once you meet the minimum requirements for both your secondary and tertiary study, we will take your best score out of the 2. Please note, you will still need to sit the UCAT ANZ every year you apply. If your ATAR is below the minimum cutoff of 96 or 91 for rural applicants, you are not eligible to apply. In this case, you will need to complete another tertiary degree in any field first. We recommend you choose a degree you're passionate about so you can succeed and get the highest marks. Once you have completed a degree, we will no longer consider your secondary results. Your tertiary result must meet the minimum requirement of a 5.5 GPA on a 7 scale or 4.8 for rural applicants. Other options include applying for postgraduate medicine schools at other universities. You may also consider pursuing alternative clinical or medical careers. For more information on how to apply or on our special entry schemes, scan these QR codes. That's all for me now. I'll hand you back over to Nicole for the rest of the event.
Getting into medicine is certainly competitive, but for those of you who are committed, resilient, and willing to put in the work, it's less a question of if and more a question of when. So far tonight, you've heard about the structure of the program and the admissions process. Now I would like to give you an insight into what life is actually like once you're here. It's my pleasure to introduce Lawrence Lancaster, a fourth-year medicine student and president of MedSoc, our medical society here at UNSW. Lawrence will share a bit about the student experience, the community within the program, and what makes studying medicine at UNSW unique beyond the classroom and clinical placements. Over to you, Lawrence.
Hey guys, I'm Lawrence and I'm currently in my fourth year of medicine. I'm also the president of our UNSW Medical Society, also known as MedSoc, which is the student-led body for all 1,600 plus students at UNSW Medicine. Now I know most of you tuning in tonight are interested in studying medicine at UNSW, so I'm here to take you through a little bit of a rundown of what it's like studying here and the many opportunities that are up for grabs. So let's talk about our course first. So when you enter the medicine program, you'll start in phase 1, which is your first and second year. A lot of people tell me it's a bit like high school all over again. You get to see the same group of 200 plus people almost every day, and your timetable's laid out for you. You even get thrown into one of our 4 medicine colleges houses, kind of like that, with whom you'll spend every class, college, cup, and medicamp with. There's always something happening to help you settle in, and you'll soon make friends here that you'll have for life. The classes themselves are pretty hands-on from the start. Apart from lectures, you'll be working with microscopes and pipettes in the lab, examining real anatomy specimens, and breaking down cases in small groups. It keeps things interesting. But what about the clinical stuff, you might ask? Well, here at UNSW, you're in hospitals from your first term, learning how to engage in structured talks with patients. In fact, I still remember my very first patient I ever talked to. It's an experience that you'll sort of never forget. I wish you could say the same for getting your way around hospital. So, in phase 1, you get to know near everyone in your cohort, and it establishes a strong foundation for medicine where you get to truly be part of a special community for all 6 years. Now, onto phase 2, so these are your third and fourth years, and things get changed. You get split into hospital rotations, so your little cohort of 240 just got shrunk to an incy 20, where for 3 days a week you're working with true experts in their field and their patients. Everything from phase 1 that felt kind of confusing starts to click here. You're kind of connecting the dots between what you learned between uni and why this patient needs this scan or this test or this treatment. But every step of the way, you have your squad of 20 peers who have your back to answer the question or drive you to tutorials. It was probably my favorite year, I think. Fourth year adds the ILP, or the honors year. You get to dive into research and whatever criteria you work in, with specialists at the top of their field, and it sets you up really well for internship and further research opportunities. Publications, clinical experience, the whole shebang. This research focus is a key reason UNSW Medicine is 1 year longer than other programs in New South Wales, and it provides graduates with a strong competitive advantage when applying to specialty training programs. So phase 3, year 5 and 6, you're in hospital pretty much full time at this point. It's proper prep for internship. You're functioning more like a junior doctor than a student. And a special highlight that comes at the end of 5th year, you get an elective term. Go rural in Australia and fly overseas. It's your chance to explore a different healthcare system or specialty before you graduate after your 6th year. All right, let's move on to MedSoc and what opportunities we can offer you. So we're the main student-led body for Med at UNSW, run by just a couple hundred volunteers each year. Everyone in medicine is automatically a member, which helps build that community feel. We've got teams handling everything, from events to academics, you just name it. Now, what does this actually look like? Well, we have College Cup sports events every term, run upskilling sessions to build practical skills, ski trips and social events constantly. We even host an annual faculty versus students sports day, so the faculty can get amongst it too. Our job is pretty straightforward: to make your time in med school the best it can possibly be and improve the field while we're at it. We do this through 3 core pillars. So first up, advocacy. We work directly with the faculty to push for better learning opportunities and curriculum improvement. So if you have feedback, we're the ones bringing it up. Second one is experiences. We create unforgettable events and activities that not only represent students, but also provide meaningful opportunities for personal growth, development, and of course, a little bit of fun. The third and final is community. Med school's long, and you need people with you every step of the way. So we're here to help you find that and make sure you're not just leaving with a degree, but with friendships that'll last well beyond graduation. We also offer special interest groups and affiliates if you want to explore specific fields early, such as internal medicine, women's and children's health, psychiatry, radiology, dermatology, critical care, and ophthalmology. So whatever you're interested in, there is a clinical night, workshop, and conferences tailored especially for you. Plus, our affiliates connect you to a broader stage with them. With them, I've been to Australia-wide med student conventions and have done community projects in rural areas. It's a good way to get involved beyond the placements and the lectures. However, if you're into the creative stuff, there's MedShow and the Medical Music Society. MedShow is a fully student-run charity production with over 100 medical students writing, directing, and performing every year. As someone who did a lot of drama in high school, I never would have thought I could still do it with medicine. Medical Music Society run an annual concert, regular jam sessions, and opportunities to join bands for those musically inclined. So at UNSW, supporting and representing students is a top priority. To promote mental health and well-being, students can take 2 self-care days per term to avoid burnout. Our academics team also provide robust assessment support through regular tutorials leading up to exams. Furthermore, our vice presidents oversee equity, diversity, and inclusion portfolios, which include support from our women's, queer, First Peoples, and international officers. So all in all, there's a lot to get excited about if you do end up here. UNSW Med is a bundle of fun with a pretty great community. Like a home away from home, there's always something happening for you. And I'd be thrilled to welcome you to this world very soon.
Thank you, Lawrence, for sharing your insight and giving us a glimpse into student life at UNSW Medicine. We're now going to move into our Q&A session. We've received a large number of questions in the chat. Thank you for sending those through. We won't be able to get to every question this evening, so please use the thumbs up function to prioritise the ones you'd like to have answered, and we'll focus on those first. As mentioned earlier, if we don't get to your questions tonight, our future student advisors are always available to support after this session. I'll now hand over to my colleague Alice, who will facilitate the Q&A panel. Over to you, Alice.
Thanks, Nicole. And now is the part that everyone has been waiting for. Let's dive into your questions. And thank you, Adi, Lawrence, and Kelly. She's one of our final year's medicine students for joining the Q&A. So we've been receiving a lot of questions throughout the night, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. So first question is for Lawrence and Kelly. Studying medicine is a big decision to make, as well as a big time commitment. What made you choose medicine, and how has your thinking about your specialization evolved over time? Let's start with Lawrence.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was pretty late to the game. Healthcare has always been in the family because my mum was a nurse. It's kind of been in the ideas, but it was only until I went to the school sort of careers counselling that I got a little bit more information about it. And I think the amount of teamwork and the sort of forever developing and the variety you get in medicine was something that appealed to me. And even now, I think once you're in the course, you sort of understand a little bit more. But I think being a part of everything or just learning different bits is what really interests me about medicine. And I think that kind of follows through with the specialties. I'm in 4th year, but it sounds weird, but I haven't seen it all yet. And I think to truly sort of pick a specialty, you kind of have to like taste it all like a kid in a candy bar to sort of see it all and then kind of pick what you want. But yes, I'm still on the roads about finding a specialty, I think.
And Kelly?
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I think I had a bit more of a straightforward journey in the sense that I always wanted to do medicine. And so from an early age, early high school, it was more about how to engage in those experiences that would let me see a more realistic view of what a life in medicine would be like. And for me, medicine is just this really wonderful amalgamation of science and humanity. And you really get the chance to make a really big difference in someone's life and almost change the trajectory of their life through your healthcare and through compassion. And I thought there was just nothing else better that I would want to do personally. And so I did a lot of volunteering and work experience in hospitals in my high school. And a big part was also talking to people outside of just being doctors as well, and talking to nurses, like Lawrence mentioned, and also, speaking to physiotherapists and all the allied healthcare professionals as well. That was really, really useful. And in terms of specialisation, similar to what Lauren said, it's more so about the fact that there's just so much out there and there's no pressure to choose at an early stage at all.
Wonderful. So let's move on to questions about interview. Adi, I know you cannot give away the interview questions, but could you let us know what you were actually looking for in the interview? And are we testing their medical knowledge?
Yeah. So I can answer the last part first. We're definitely not testing medical knowledge. We're actually trying to get to know the person, trying to get to know if they have the attributes that we think we will make them a good doctor and will make them enjoy the life of being a doctor. And I think the most important thing there is bringing authenticity to the interview. The things that Kelly said about the kinds of things she did in preparing herself for that experience and for thinking about whether she was really matched to being in the healthcare industry. Those are the kinds of things that you'll draw on in the interview and you'll be asked about.
Okay. So for Lawrence and Kelly, how did you prepare your interview? And do you have any advice for students taking the interview?
Yeah, sure. So I think the interview is really designed to just see who you are as a person. And I think a lot of students go into it feeling like they really have to prepare a lot for it. But I always, tell future students coming to UNSW that it's really everything you need to know is already within you, and it's all these experiences that you've accumulated throughout your high school journey. That is what we or the assessors want to hear. And so instead of thinking about it as some sort of checklist or exam that you want to study for, thinking about it more so as a self-reflection process. So making sure that you know what the realities of life in medicine will be like. Make sure you've done your research, have those experiences in high school, leadership, volunteering, whatever it is that makes you happy and that gives you that personal growth. I think that's what I would advise students.
Sure, I think I just agree with what both said. I think it's one thing to sort of express yourself, but it's one other thing to sort of really understand how you think and how what motivates you to do the things you want to do. And I think for me at least, I prepared by just taking a bit of time just to sort of open up a laptop, sort of wrote down things that drove me, or like things that were unique to me, and built off of that. And I think expressing that once I had sort of like the rough plan of who I was, like what I wanted to do, it got sort of easier from there, I think. But yeah, it's definitely sort of nothing like it's a checklist, like Kelly said. It's more about trying to get to know you as a person and what drives you, I think.
Yeah, fabulous. And we've got a lot of questions about admission process coming in. So, Adi, what makes a strong medicine applicant, and how many places are there in our medicine program?
Yeah, so there's approximately 280-ish, and 2/3 of those go to domestic students, approximately 1/3 international, but those numbers change year on year. And there's 3 parts to the application process, not going into the alternative pathways, because there's a number of alternative pathways as well. So if we think about the mainstream pathways, there's the ATAR, the UCAT, and the interview. And really, even though they're all weighted the same, you have to achieve a certain level in the first 2 to get an interview. So really that, and as most of you would know, the ATAR relates to studying at school. So you do what you can there to get the highest ATAR possible. The UCAT relates more to critical thinking skills, and obviously we know that people study for that, but it's really, once again, really looking at who you are and how you think, situational judgment testing, stuff like that. So those are those 2 parts, and then we come to the interview, which we've already talked about, and that's it's a very deep interview. 2 people interviewing, 1 interviewee, really getting to know you. So I don't know if you want me to talk about the other ways of getting into medicine here, but, we have Gateway, which is for lower SES students. We have Indigenous students, and we have the rural entry pathway as well. So in those ones, you don't have to achieve quite the same standard in terms of barriers to even getting an interview. So, there are a lot of different pathways to get into medicine. And we realise that the workforce we want to produce, we want to get rural doctors, we want to get doctors to underserved communities, we want to get Indigenous doctors. And so this is why we have special entry pathways to support getting those students in and then support them once they're in the program.
Thank you, Adi. Next question. Do you accept adjustment factors? I'll quickly answer this question. For medicine at our school, only the EAS, which is Educational Access Scheme, is considered for recent high school leavers who have not undertaken any tertiary study, and you can apply for EAS via UAC. Next question about bonded and unbonded places for AD as well. Could you tell us what's the difference between bonded and unbonded places?
Yes, so this is a Commonwealth kind of scheme whereby if you're entering in under a bonded place, there's an agreement that you will go to a particular place to do your first years of medicine practice. So generally rural, and it means that you're going to go to a particular area of need. So that's your agreement to come into the school, is that you'll do a particular service in a particular place when you come out of medical school.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Adi. Very clear explanation. So next question is for Lawrence and Kelly again. As Eve has mentioned earlier, at UNSW, we do not have prerequisite subjects. However, we do have assumed knowledge. So for you guys, what subjects did you do in high school?
It'll go back to me then. I did quite a bit, actually. I did Chinese, physics, chemistry, and then Extension 2 maths and Extension 1 English. So a little bit there.
And Kelly?
So I did the extensions for mathematics and English, and also for my sciences, I did physics and chemistry. And I also took PDHPE, which I believe now is called Health and Movement Science.
Great. And we've got a few questions about UCAT. Lawrence and Kelly, there's a lot of anxiety around UCAT. Can you share with us some tips for preparing for the UCAT?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was in the same shoes when I was in high school, so I was very stressed. But I think it's not to get yourself lost in the weight or the importance of the test. It's more about just do what you can. I think take it bit by bit every day, even if it's just doing one question a day, or like just a bit a day, and you'll see yourself sort of improve. It's one of those tests where you kind of have to reflect on as you go, and you just get better the more you try, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the UCAT, I highly recommend having a look at the official resources on the Pearson website. Those are the most accurate and will be the best sort of replica of what the exam will be like. In terms of the preparation, I always tell students that it's almost a 50% aptitude test and 50% of it is psychological. And because it's such an important exam for students, oftentimes the anxiety of the test will actually cause them to underperform. So in terms of that, I suggest for students to have some sort of strategy that they put into place the morning of the exam to make sure that they're as calm as possible. And you can take the UCAT multiple times across. You can only take it once a year, but across the years, you will get a better idea of the exam as well if that happens to be so.
Great pieces of advice. Next question for Adi. Some people are tossing between medicine and other health-related degrees. What advice would you give them, and should these students still take UCAT?
So once again, I will answer the last part first, and I'd say that even if you're considering that you might want to get into medicine, probably it's wise to do the UCAT because, every time you do it is another chance to do well at it, and so you've got that kind of mark sitting there. Deciding what you want to do in healthcare, that's a really tough one, I think, because we take students straight from school, and I think during your school life, you're not exposed to every different kind of healthcare profession. So you graduate school often knowing what a doctor does, maybe knowing what a nurse does, but you might not know what an exercise physiologist does, or a podiatrist does, or a psychologist does. So it is really quite hard to know which area interests you most. which area you're passionate about. But often if people don't get into medicine and they get to explore these other healthcare kind of options, they end up going, oh my gosh, this is so good. I didn't know about it. So I can't tell you which one you're going to love, but I can say, if you hear about things or get the opportunity to meet people in different healthcare professions, ask them what they do, what kind of things they deal with. Get to know what they do. Even if you end up being a doctor, that's going to be really helpful because we all work in healthcare teams.
Thank you, Adi. So before we come back to the panel, I'll take the next few questions regarding different entry schemes. So many students are curious about the alternative entry pathways. Does UNSW offer internal transfers from other health-related degrees? Great questions. We do not accept internal transfers from other programs. All students need to apply to UAC for admission to the medicine program. Next question is, if I am from low socioeconomic status background and live in rural, can I apply for both pathways? So another great question. But you would need to decide which pathway you would like to apply for, but you cannot apply for both. But something you would need to consider is where you want to do your study. If you apply via a rural entry admission pathway, you are required to study at our rural campus. And remember, places via Gateway Entry Scheme are limited to 20 students. So let's move on to ILP questions. Adi, could you explain a little bit more about what projects students can do during the ILP or honours year, and where can students take their projects?
Yeah, great. So the ILP and honours year, which is year 4, students are required to do research. Supervisors often propose projects, but also students can reach out to supervisors or clinicians or mentors or people they've met and who are affiliated with UNSW and ask them if they can do a project. So these can be projects that are basic science based. So you could do something in the School of Biomedical Sciences, for example, or they can be in the hospital or our affiliated research institutes, so the Garvin or Victor Chang or the George Institute or the Kirby, and they can do very clinical projects, and they can do anything in between. They can do projects in population health or, they vary immensely. And that's the beauty of that year, that if you already have a passion or potential interest, you can actually look either for offered projects in that space, or if you've come across a particular person during your already 3 years, you can actually reach out to them and have a negotiated project and say, what do you think about doing this research project with you? I think the really most important thing for students to understand and supervisors to understand, we talk about this all the time, is that the point of this year for the students is for them to learn about what research looks like. It's not really for them to make world earth-shattering discoveries. Sometimes it happens, but not expected. You don't need to do that to pass the year. And so from the supervisor's perspective, you are teaching a student about research. And so really I talk to supervisors about this all the time so that everybody's on the same page.
Thank you, Adi. A follow-up question for Kelly. We know that you are final year students, and we know you chose to do honours in your 4th year. So could you tell us what made you to pursue honours instead of ILP? And can you tell us a little bit more about what the project you did?
So my project was actually based in the Randwick Hospitals, which is right next to our university here. So my research project was in the field of the NICU and paediatric surgery, and my topic was investigating surgical outcomes of a condition called tracheoesophageal fistula, and it was specifically looking at neonates, which is newborn babies. The reason why I chose to do honours was because doing the honours project gives you a bit more of an intensive research experience. It's a little bit longer and you get to engage a little bit more with your project. So I really liked that aspect of it. And also you have to do an advanced course to supplement your honours year as well. So what that means is you take a course in anatomy or physiology or pathology, pretty much anything that you want, or anything like biostatistics as well can be really helpful for your project. But yeah, I had a fantastic experience. I got to go interstate to present as well, which was really fantastic, and just got a lot out of the year and really, really enjoyed it.
Great to hear you have a fruitful, honest year. And next question, also for Lawrence and Kelly. In year 11 and 12, were you still keeping up your extracurriculars while studying? And how did you balance work-life balance when you're doing HSC?
Oh, I'll go start with me. Yeah, I think year 11, year 12, I think there's a reason why everyone says year 12, at least for me, is the best year in high school. And I think it's just because you get to do a lot of things, or you just got to do everything before you go. So I was a drama boy, so I did a lot of drama and theatre, as well as cadets and a couple other co-curriculars. And I think it's difficult, like in the grand scheme of things, it seems difficult to sort of pick up new things. I was trying to get into medicine, for example, but I think life just finds a way. I think with enough time management preparation, you can do it's definitely doable to do passions. Even in medicine here, so many students do follow the passions as well as medicine. So medicine's not the sort of be all and end all. I think that's sort of really important, even in high school as well, as you're getting or trying to get into the course.
For me, a big aspect of it was just considering what my personal priorities are. So I think I always talk about the glass ball analogy. I don't know if anyone has heard of this before, but it's this idea that when you're juggling multiple things in your life, you have to consider that some of the balls that you're juggling are glass and some of them are plastic. And so for me, my extracurriculars in high school, they were glass balls, like I couldn't let them drop. You might reduce the amount of time that you spend pursuing these extracurriculars, but at the end of the day, they were really important to me just for my personal growth, to have something outside of academics as well. And that's something that I really value, that I still continue to value today in medicine.
And I believe extracurriculars activities do really help you to shine through the interview. And next question is about student life and support for all of you. What does a med student's typical day look like, and how do students manage workload and well-being in such a demanding degree? Do you want to start, Edie?
Oh, me, I haven't been a medical student for a while.
You can answer the second part.
Look, I had to speak to the first year students this week, and the first thing I tell them, same as you said, don't drop your extracurricular. I think really getting into a rhythm where you understand, I think rhythm's really important. I think the hardest thing as a first year is keeping up with things, and the thing you don't want to do is fall behind, because the program moves at a fairly fast pace, and it's quite different to a lot of other programs and courses at UNSW where students have a lot less contact hours. So whilst these guys can speak to their daily routine, you want to keep up, which means you have to turn up, you have to do whatever you have on your timetable, you have to socialise as much as you can during the day. You have to then allocate time to eating, studying, socialising and sleeping. And perhaps socialising goes up and down during the week. But, like I say, you just don't want to get behind, but at the same time, you're making new connections, new friends. So it's really getting yourself into a good rhythm that is sustainable for that first year. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it depends on the year you're in. So at least for the first 2 years, it feels a bit like school, at least. You see the same people sort of every day. Your timetable's kind of laid out for you. It's a lot of contact hours, I agree. I think one of my seniors put it as sort of like drinking out of a fire hydrant. It's very quick. You gotta keep up with everything. But I think a day in the life is just very sort of structured, but also you can find flexibility within that, I think. And so that's the beauty of it. And I think it just gets, not to make it sound a little bit difficult, it just gets busier from there, but not by no means less fun at all. It's more interesting, I think, as it goes on.
Yeah, I think it's definitely very possible to have that work-life balance as a medical student. I think people are always really surprised that we have the time that we have. They think that all we do is, eat and sleep and study, but that's not the case at all. I find that it's much more so about, again, what you prioritize. And I think for both of us, having been involved in societies and things like that, I think it's just a matter of what do you want to get out of your university experience and deciding that for yourself.
Thank you. We're running out of time, so I'll ask my final question to each of you. If you could give one piece of advice to our Year 12 students who are watching and thinking about studying medicine right now, what would it be? Let's start with Kelly and we'll go along.
Okay, sure. So Honestly, it's really hard to pick just one piece of advice. But if I were to leave something with you watching at home or wherever you are today, it would be that I think life doesn't end after high school. I think there's some sort of preconception that everything that you do in high school matters, or, it's not going to work out for you, but that's not true at all. I think, in a way, it's good to think about life beginning after high school. And when you're trying to get into something as competitive as medicine, a big aspect of it feels like, this is the ultimate goal. And, if you don't succeed, there's negative consequences. But really, there's multiple chances to try again. And so definitely persevere, because on the other side of that perseverance, I found it has just been the most amazing experience. I mean, for me, UNSW Medicine was my dream program. And on the other side of it, it's just been fantastic. I've been able to have amazing experiences. Like, I went to Nepal with 15 other medical students on a medical outreach trip. I just came back from Zambia after my medical elective. And, just 2 years ago, I was in Lawrence's position leading the Society of Medical Students. And that has just been an amazing experience. And lifelong friends will become your lifelong colleagues as well. And so keep pushing, keep persevering. And you might not end up in the path that you think you were set out to do, but whatever you end up on will be the best path for you. I really believe that.
Good. It almost took me even though I think if it's one thing to give up, I think just stay true to yourself. I think medicine, again, like Kelly said, it's not the be all and end all. Life always finds a way. And if you like healthcare, pursue that, I think. And just don't forget, even if you like try and do different things, don't forget like what drives you at the end of the day, or what motivates you, because that's what I think is really important, regardless of the course you choose or how you live your life.
I think we're all kind of giving the same advice because, my reflections, knowing students, speaking to students every year, but also speaking to SRMOs, which are like our junior doctors in the hospital, and our trainees and our specialists. You have to, I think about what your passion is, and if your passion is medicine, go for it. And as Kelly said, don't worry if you don't get in that first year. Do something else and try again. There are people who really want to become doctors will become doctors. So don't worry if you don't get in the first time, try again. But I think it's a big commitment, so you really want to be doing it for yourself. Don't be thinking you've got to do medicine for other people. And if you want to do it, you will totally love it. Like, the cohort's amazing, the course is great, and you're straight away in a work environment. So you're getting feedback on whether you do want to be there right from year one the whole time. And the people teaching to the program are really passionate about it as well. So I think it's really about being authentic to yourself.
Amazing. And thank you, Adi, Lawrence and Kelly again for joining the Q&A session. And I'll hand over to Nicole to close the event.
Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's session, and we certainly have covered a lot. We hope you're leaving with a clearer understanding of the UNSW Medicine program, the admissions process, and the kind of community you could be joining. I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to Professor Cheryl Jones, Professor Adrian Torta, Evelyn, Lawrence, Alice and Kelly for sharing their expertise and insights tonight. I really encourage you to keep the conversation going with us. If you're able to, join us at UNSW Open Day on Saturday, the 5th of September. It's a fantastic opportunity to experience the campus, meet staff and students, and explore the facilities firsthand. And as mentioned throughout the evening, our future students advisors are always available to answer your questions and support you through the application process. And finally, thank you to you for taking the time to join us tonight. We wish you every success in completing your studies this year and all the very best in your applications. We hope to see many of you on campus in the near future. Good night and thank you again.